minute to go yet. If you want to wait, but if you want to go ahead, go
You guys
ahead.
all want to stand for a minute? Stand. If you want to sit for a minute, sit for a minute.
Let's see. We can start it out with exercise. Linda could lead us.
How are you? I went and watched Zach play. I didn't know he was hurt when they played.
Give him a chance to get set up. Let's go.
All right. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible.
Parks and Recreation employees. Well, the story, as I heard it in the newspaper and those type of things, was that, as we all know, Clarence takes a lot of pride in his parks and golf course, the way things look. But had he not turned down that street and gone into Brookwood, there might have been one less to Pekin here today had he not done that. He went down there, he found a woman who was in severe need in the elements, needing some care, and Clarence, typical to Clarence, he made no big deal of it. He helped the lady, and then several days went by before he even told anybody, and now it's come out, and now he's beginning to get some of the recognition that he deserves. With that, excuse me, I wanted to bring Clarence up here to visit with you guys and present him and recognize him publicly. Clarence, they would like their speech to be less than 25 minutes, please.
I am out of my comfort zone here, if that's okay. Just a couple of words. I would like to thank John Knight, our county commissioners, for this recognition. It is very humbling to be here for something I would lovingly do for anyone at any time. And I know that there are many county employees and city employees within our city that would have done the same thing and very much more. It's very humbling. I just would like to thank everyone. Thank you.
Clarence, I just want to really thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
We're off to a good start. It's always good to start on Monday, appreciating the hard work done by our employees.
Youth teams participating in the Parks and Recreation Leagues with discount merchandise and equipment.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rachel Meyer, Partnership Development Coordinator, to a sponsorship agreement that we formalized recently. The Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Foundation handles the advertising for the Sports Marketing Network. And so this is actually a renewal contract but we have increased the value of it. So over the next 5 years, Dick's Sporting Goods will be giving over $125,000 worth of actual donations or items to the Parks and Rec Foundation and the county. We will be receiving about a $5,000 donation each year to the foundation, and that's used for future improvements of facilities with Parks and Recreation. And then as far as what benefits go to the county and the community, I do have Derek Mead here today, and he's our youth sports manager. So I'm going to let him tell you about some of those benefits and how great they are for our youth sports program.
Morning, Commissioners. Derek Mead, Parks and Recreation. Rachel did a good job of kind of detailing the general benefits to the county. Some specifics for us, Dick's Sporting Goods supplies us with some bonus certificates, some league shop days where participants can go in and save, I think it's 20% on their store purchase. Coaching packets will put in, or savings packets will put in coaching packets for each volunteer coach where there's different levels of coupons for them. Customized elements that include things like kits, ball bags, equipment, other accessories. We get a lot of good use out of those ball bags to take balls to different 501 locations and different community centers for practices. Stuff like this helps a lot with reducing county funds used because that's money that we're not having to pay elsewhere to purchase things like that. There's also a TBSA Operation Recatch program that Eric Marshall here with Dick's Sporting Goods might be able to explain a little bit better than I can. But it supplies kids with TBSA with gently used sporting equipment. I think they do that once a season, if I'm not mistaken. But I have Eric Marshall here. He's the community marketing manager with Dick's Sporting Goods, and if you have any questions for him, he'll be happy to answer them.
Good morning. Thank you, Rachel and Derek, for having us. We are excited to continue our relationship with the Parks and Rec and the Foundation. We've worked with y'all for about 10 years now. It's mutually beneficial. We're excited to do a needs analysis with the organization on an annual basis to understand how we can offset county funds by donating equipment, certificates, in kind, and also trying to benefit the community as a whole by offering discount on their purchases at Dick's Sporting Goods. So I'm happy to answer any questions y'all may have or kind of give an overview on what the relationship looks like over the years.
Any questions for?
No, just gratitude.
Yeah.
Okay, we're excited to continue the relationship.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to have programs like this. It helps offset a lot of the costs and gets kids active out and provides for healthier options, as we hear from our health department. Our next item.
Item 3, presentation of the 2018 property valuation notices from the Shawnee County Appraiser Steve Bauman.
Good morning. Steve Bauman, County Appraiser. This is our annual presentation to announce the mailing of our change of value notices. We mailed out our notices on February 21st, last Wednesday, to those properties that have had a change of value or classification. There we go. And I need to publicly recognize our staff. They worked extremely hard in getting all the preparation necessary to getting the valuation notices out accurately and early again this year. It's a significant effort, and very proud of that. It's a never-ending process to achieve accurate market values for 75,000 parcels annually. We are tasked with physically inspecting every parcel at least once every 6 years. We spend a great deal of time in the field every year reviewing property characteristics for things like sales, building permits, hearings, general inspections, as well as sometimes property owner requests. I'm going to go over some of the processes and market indications this year. Sales, our appraisals are a reaction to what the real estate market is doing. We don't drive the market. we try and reflect it. Our appraisals are an estimate of what the property should be able to sell for in an open and competitive market. That's our goal. The sales are the very basis for our value indications. We're only able to use properties that do sell, so the house next door may be very comparable, but unless it sells, we can't use it to help determine values for other properties. So it's all based on sales information. Our appraisers review every sale that occurs in Shawnee County. This includes an on-site 360-degree exterior inspection of every market arm's length transaction. So this slide shows that we had 3,910 sales this year, down a little bit from the prior year, and I think this can be attributed to lower supply numbers. There's not enough supply on the market. The sales that have been occurring remain strong. The Sunflower Association of Realtors indicated that the median 16 days on market is down from the prior year of 22. In comparison, 2015 homes were spending about 30 days on the market. So the days on market dropping. They're not lasting very long right now. They also show that homes are selling for about 97.6% of the original asking price. Slide is median sale prices. The median sale price of valid residential homes continue to increase in Shawnee County. It's not a direct correlation to market value increases, but it is yet another indication that we have a strong market. And you can see the last 4 years gone up, the median sale price has gone up. These are the new home permits by year. You can see that we had a drop-off in 17. I think this is probably furthering the supply issues that we have. New commercial buildings and new additions have increased slightly for 17. So residential new construction added just over $59 million, and commercial added $66 million. These numbers are both up from the prior years. And especially with the commercial new construction, some of this is going to be exempt, so it's not going to make it all to added value at the end of the year. For economic development, religious, charitable purposes, there's been some of that construction. So our overall value indications, commercial property is going up about 3%. On average, residential market values are increasing approximately 2%. Not every sub-market's going to have an increase. Here's our map of general residential trends. It's pretty visible that in the light blue section, most of the county is going to see a 2% increase. Just because your house may be in the light blue section doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's an exact 2%, but in all probability it will be. We have a couple of light purples, 4% and 5% increases in value, reflecting the sales that occur in those markets. Okay, so we did mail our notices Wednesday, the 21st, and we only sent those out to properties that have had a change in value or classification. So by now, most everybody probably has received their notice if they're going to get one. The process of sending these out to only those properties that have had a change has saved the county and taxpayers a significant amount of money over the last 7 years, well in excess of $200,000. This year, we've sent out 41,000 notices. Of those 41,000, 95% of those have had an increase in value. So we do have about 5% of the 41 that would obviously be a decrease in value. So if you're sitting at home asking yourself, why didn't I receive a notice and I really want one, there's a lot of ways you can obtain one. You can go to our website, snco.us/AP, and you're able to navigate to a valuation notice that looks very similar to the ones we mail out, and you can print it off. Our website contains a lot of information available to the public, detailing all the property characteristics of every property we have in Shawnee County. If you want your notice and you don't have a computer, you can call our taxpayer assistance line, 232-4461, and we will get a notice out to whoever requests. You can also stop by the office. We'll print one out for you, or you can send an email to snappraiser@snco.us, and we'd be happy to email one. Some important information. The last day to file an appeal is March 23rd. So if you get your notice or you don't get one and you're not happy with those results and you want to file an appeal, March 23rd is the deadline. You do not need a notice in order to file an appeal. You can call our taxpayer assistance line at, again, 232-4461, and we'll be happy to set you up with an appeal. This first week, our appraisers are answering the phone lines to try and help answer some of those questions that come through, and we found over the years that this has been pretty successful in keeping some of the appeal numbers down, because a lot of times people aren't sure why maybe their value increased, and we're able to help explain that. So after the first week, our appraisers will start entering into the appeal phase, so they won't be on the phones, but we'll still be available to help answer any questions. And if the taxpayer decides that they wanted to appeal, but they missed this March 23rd deadline, they will still be able to appeal when they pay their taxes or when they pay their taxes either by December 20th or by May 10th the following year. They still have an opportunity to pay those under protest. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Steve, we do this valuation in this presentation every year, right?
Correct.
And so this is our time for doing this. Last year, I know that we talked about there being about a 2% increase in the county and either a flat or a decrease in the city. And if you go back to your map of the city, I know it's a little bit difficult to tell with the light or the gray versus the light blue, but it appears that much of the city is at a 0% again this year.
That is correct.
Okay.
There are some light blue spots in here that Lee Allen and I discussed that maybe aren't as visible as they could be because of the light blue and gray. But a lot of the inner city is seeing zero trends.
I know that when the city budget came up, the city council members appeared to be shocked that they were not receiving as much income due to there not being an increase. But there shouldn't be a shock since we're talking about this now in February and we do our budgets in August.
That is correct. And I'm going to meet with the city finance team and we're going to make sure that everything's clear and understandable.
And if you live in an area that, if for some reason your tax valuation, you didn't receive one, or there wasn't an increase, or it was only a slight increase, and you think your taxes should be more, you can always contact your office to increase your taxes, right?
Well, there's a couple of things with that. First of all, our office doesn't really deal with taxes. We are appraisers. We appraise property. The taxes come well after that point with budgets and how much money we need to operate the county. With that being said, absolutely, if you feel your property value is incorrect, either too high or too low, you can give our office a call and we'd be happy to discuss it. We do have situations where a number of our appeals are because they feel that our value is too low.
Commissioner Bueller, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I appreciate this because I think there are some people who think that you just set an amount for that home and you don't use, a process and the market to set those values, and that's exactly what you do, so.
Yeah, we do need to get that word out, that we are trying to reflect what the market is doing. And it's all based on sales data.
And you can go online and see all of those homes that your home is compared to, correct?
Yeah, and we also put those on the valuation notice as well.
Right.
Okay,
I don't
thank
have
you.
anything else. Thank you.
Commissioner Archer?
Yeah, I got a notice that I was going to get an increase, and I didn't have to request it at all.
No.
Thank you.
We do send those out.
Thank you. 3 years in a row. I appreciate it.
For the record, I received mine this weekend also.
Okay.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item 2, unfinished business. Consider approval of request to solicit quotes for the purchase of an armored rescue vehicle with funding from the capital outlay funds allocated on December 11th, 2017, and with federal forfeiture monies. Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Brown, Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Just to kind of bring us up to speed and recap, this is an item that we've pushed out a couple of times. It initially came up, I believe, Captain, during the capital outlay discussion,
Correct.
where the sheriff indicated that they had a desire or intent to purchase this vehicle. What exactly is this vehicle, again, for our information?
Well, it's a tactical vehicle, a tactical rescue vehicle that will actually serve a multi-purpose use for our agency. Several years ago, the members of our SWAT team started to identify a need, communicated that need on up. That need was communicated to the sheriff, who also felt that it is a needed asset within our organization. The multi-purpose role, well, let me back up. The tactical component of it is that it will be used in high-risk warrant service, active shooter scenarios, other man-made disasters. It will also be utilized in several natural disaster scenarios. I know that this past year, very similar vehicles were utilized in Texas and in Florida during the hurricanes, when traditional rescue vehicles could not make it to the victims or citizens that needed to be evacuated. These vehicles were also utilized in California during the mudslides. So I think we're pretty safe from hurricanes up here, but I think we've all experienced the flooding that has taken place up here. We've also had some severe blizzards in the past. It's been a while, but I've worked the road when we just couldn't get our traditional police vehicles down through flooding up in Rossville, down in Wakarusa. So we do have a need, not only the tactical reason of it, but also the rescue portion of it, which doesn't necessarily meet a traditional rescue vehicle as far as a fire truck or an ambulance, but it has that intent and purpose behind it.
And the overall cost of this equipment is how much?
I'm hoping between $300,000 to $340,000.
And the county had set aside a amount of $100,000 for that purchase.
Through the capital outlay, correct.
And so the remainder is going to come from,
Asset forfeitures.
and so this would be monies that were seized either because of crimes or drugs or other.
That's correct, yes.
Commissioners?
And gone through the forfeiture process and through court, so yes.
Commissioner Archer?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I had discussed this with the captain earlier, but I received an email, and I think it may be representative of some people in our community, and I'll just read it, and it says, "Dear Commissioners, we do not need an armored vehicle for our sheriff's office. These are a piece of military weaponry, not a rescue vehicle such as an ambulance or a fire truck. An armored vehicle is an excessive use of force. It will only traumatize residents and damage neighborhoods. Peace is won when weapons are put aside. Please do not purchase this vehicle and further damage relationships between residents and law enforcement." Now, I can't say that I agree with that sentiment, but I know that it is out there, and I'd like a discussion of that item and what you think.
You know, it's a topic that generates some spirited discussion. I don't know that I can stand here and offer an answer that would satisfy people on both sides of the aisle without discussion some of the vulnerabilities, not only within the sheriff's office, but within our community. I can tell you that it is a need. It's not just simply a want. Unfortunately, this day and age, it is needed. The multi-purpose role that is served, I think, far outweighs the appearance that it gives. This community is not immune to man-made disasters, and we're not immune from natural-made disasters or natural disasters. And to have assets and resources in place to allow us to respond to those accordingly, not only to protect the officers that are involved, but also the citizens of this community, I think speaks for itself. The unfortunate thing is, it is an expensive piece of equipment. Simple economics is supply and demand. A few years ago, we probably could have got it for a lot less. But the unfortunate thing is the growing need for these vehicles across the country have driven the price up. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
Well, I think it's just difficult issue in our community. I did have one other question, if I may ask. And the public may want to know why we're not going after surplus military vehicles, which I understand is available now again.
to some extent.
Taxpayer dollars.
To some extent. The military vehicles would also help to further the divide on the debate on that email. However, we have explored that through the DRMO program, the military surplus program. There are basically three kinds of vehicles that are available. And when I say available, that doesn't mean going out today that they are sitting out there waiting for us to call them and say we want it. It comes up as these vehicles are decommissioned over time. The three different types of vehicles that I've been able to locate, again, not specific that they're available, but are the Humvees, which are a very light armored vehicle, 2 to 6 persons at max, I believe, will not serve our purpose in this community. It's too small. Then we go on the other end of the spectrum, with the MRAPs, the mine resistance armored vehicles. We don't have a need for mine resistance. They're a very, very large vehicle, about 43 to 45,000 pounds. Gross vehicle weight would make it very difficult in our rural setting in order to respond to different scenarios, especially if we got off-road. So those two vehicles really don't work out for us. The third option was the Peacekeeper. Very similar to the vehicles that we're talking about here, only they're very old and they're decommissioned for a reason. So we'll be probably putting a lot of time and effort and money into getting something operational that may not last very long. The $300,000 price tag, again, it's expensive, but we're hoping to get a 15 to 20-year life out of it. So when we break or average that cost out over that time frame, I think it's actually pretty reasonable. And when we looked for the different funding sources over the course of the discussions that we've had, $100,000, which is it's a good chunk of change, and don't mistake that. It's still less than a dump truck. And while I think this is a very good collaboration between the citizens of the Shawnee County that are putting forth the capital outlay funds with the people that intended to do this community harm through our drug forfeitures.
Captain, just a question. We often talk about in emergency management, the mutual aid agreements. Would this be a vehicle that would be available to other communities if the need arose?
Yes,
Through
absolutely.
emergency disasters or man-made or other?
Absolutely. It would go with one of our drivers and operators, but yes.
And so it would also be used or be able to be called up by emergency management. I see our emergency management director at the back of the room. And so if the emergency management director had a need for this vehicle, it could be called up by the sheriff's office also in a
Absolutely.
count of a disaster emergency.
Absolutely.
So it's not going to be something that's used solely in the sheriff's office. It would be available to be called up by other counties, other administrators, or other emergency.
An example of how well agencies in this area work together. The incident that took place on Southeast 7th Street here a few weeks ago involved the use of several armored vehicles. I won't get into, obviously, some of the discussion because it did involve the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office per se. However, the call was put out and resources were available. So it's no different with the vehicle of our own. So if the call came out, we would definitely go to help.
Kind of to follow up on that, though, but the sheriff's office would have complete control on
Yes.
deploying that
Oh, yes.
asset then, correct?
Correct.
Versus waiting for
Absolutely.
another jurisdiction to
Or sharing
borrow.
resources.
Right,
Yes.
okay. All right. And Mr. Chairman, I received another email, we all received that same email, but from another individual who wanted to make sure that they were allowed the opportunity to speak this morning. I don't know if that person here's, Greg? Okay, so before we
Absolutely.
end, I
Yes.
just want to make sure we give him an opportunity. Thanks, Tom.
And if we would have the opportunity for anybody to address this item, if you want to come forward, sir, and state your name and any comments you may have on this item.
My name's Greg Inkman. I'm a resident of Shawnee County. First of all, I want to thank you, commissioners, for the work you do for the county. It requires a lot of expertise and time. I have I'm new to this conversation because I just read about it in the paper yesterday, so there's a lot of information I don't have. However, two things bother me. In essence, is this $300,000 to or $250,000 best spent for the citizens of Shawnee County by getting an armored vehicle? Is that the best way to use that amount of money? There's always talk of prevention, and you can't always prevent everything. I understand that, and there are times when force is needed. I wonder how many times in the last 5 years, and not to put you on the spot or anything because I'm just coming up with this stuff, how many times in the last 5 years was this vehicle essential to the safety of citizens of Shawnee County? And granted, we can't look into the future and predict, but nonetheless, it's something we're thinking about, I think. Let's see. The other part of the operation is the confiscation of assets. That whole situation seems, to me, a little tainted in that I have to prove my innocence, whereas in all other situations, I have to be proven guilty. And I know that this is a sticky wicket when the situations we're dealing with, drug money or what have you. But nonetheless, to use these funds, the forfeiture funds, as a source of operating expense, may, in my opinion, may sometimes that $350,000 or $250,000 needs to be replenished. And how does that get replenished? By more forfeitures. And I wonder how that process is handled. Do we just sign in on the forfeitures as just a general flow of revenue? Or is it looked at closely as something that we need to maybe not encourage the use of those funds, or encourage as little as possible the use of those funds? Because then we're complicit in the whole process of, in my opinion, denying somebody their right of property. Those are a couple of concerns I had. That's about it. I think I've covered my points fairly well. Open to questions. Again, like I say, I'm sure that there their defined needs and criteria have been met and what have you, but I also want to give my opinion on how I think the expenditure of over $250,000 for Shawnee County is handled. Is this the best way to use the money? Not that I'm against spending money, but the part of it that's forfeiture, I'm a little concerned about, and the overall project. Is this the best way to ensure the safety of citizens of Shawnee County? Thank you.
Thank you.
I stand for questions and
Did I have any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
welcome.
And then maybe, Captain, if you might, just, as far as the forfeiture, I know that forfeiture is a kind of a stickier topic or touchy subject. I know the legislature has been addressing forfeitures during this session. I would anticipate there to be some changes as the legislature is addressing it. But currently, how are we following the forfeiture procedure?
I don't know that I could delve into the specifics there. I'm not that versed in that. That's not my
Okay. Outside
realm of expertise, so.
All right.
To be more specific, maybe if we drill down a little bit, I could answer some of those questions.
Well, that might be just a topic for maybe the sheriff to come back and address the commission on at a later opportunity, or our county counselor.
Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Krause, Shawnee County Counselor. Just very briefly, per state law, asset forfeiture funds cannot be used by the sheriff for personnel or recurring budgetary operational expenses. By law, they can only be used for things such as training, for equipment such as this, but not ongoing operation expenses. And I know they watch that and they follow that, and we issue that requirement, and they follow that.
Under current state law, does the county commission have any discretion or authority over the sheriff as to how the forfeiture funds, once they're acquired, are used or utilized?
No.
Say. All right.
Simple said. And this is a request to solicit quotes or
Yes.
bids, so we will have this again on our agenda.
Yeah.
Time frame on this to get bids and all that
Well, I'm
back?
hoping to have some results back by the end of March. And we'll set a time frame. I'll discuss it with Ms. Griner in her office to see what the best course of action for that. I'm still finishing up putting the finishing touches up on the specifications that we'll be sending out to the vendors, but we'll work with her office and our accounting or our purchasing division within the county, or the sheriff's office, excuse me, and work from there. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it would be towards the end of March when we had some results back.
Okay. And again, I think that this is a request for the bid at this point. When it comes back for final action, being able to come back and address some of the questions that were raised with, how many opportunities do we have to call in outside resources as opposed to being able to have it on site?
I would highly encourage those that do have questions about this expenditure or this project, please contact the sheriff's office, and we'll be happy to discuss things that we can discuss. I mean, you'll have to understand there are certain things that we will not be able to discuss. That puts the tactics in question, not question, excuse me, but out there that we really need to protect. So, but we'll be happy to discuss what we can.
Commissioner Archer?
I'll move to approve the request, but I would suggest that the sheriff's office discuss with members of the community, the NIAs, and people that are interested in this, why this is a positive thing for law enforcement in Shawnee County. So that's a motion to approve.
Second.
So, motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so I anticipate when this item comes back for further discussion. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
There are 8 items on the consent agenda today. Are there any questions regarding them?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
A second.
There's been a motion made to approve, and a second by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller, I do want to take just one moment and reflect that on item number 6, it was a letter of support for the Boys and Girls Club that I signed off on. I know that, Dawn, you were here in the audience watching. Thank you for everything the Boys and Girls Club has done, both with the Abbott Community Center as well as with the Velma Paris Community Center. It's very well recognized and appreciated, and everything that we can do to help further that. So, motion made by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
The amount of the vouchers is $2,223,094.50, and that is the 2 sets of vouchers combined from Thursday's meeting. The largest amount is $582,112.15. Most of that is under general expense for our COP interest, correct, with the Security Bank of Kansas City. Second is the payroll and pooled cash, $541,938.38. And then with the detention facility, $451,552.59, and most of that is with Horizon Health. So with that, I will move approval. No questions.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval of the correction orders.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook for approval, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, Sheriff's Office, number 1, acknowledge correspondence from the Sheriff's Office regarding purchase of phone logger upgrades for the NICE Inform phone recorder and recording software for the backup center at a cost of $62,955 from the Special Project Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Melanie Mills-Burgers. I'm the Interim Director of the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office Emergency Communications Center. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the new phone phone logger. This was purchased to get us to a more reliable, upgraded phone system or phone logger and radio logger that will get us ready for the next Gen 911 implementation.
Could you just tell us what does a phone logger do?
Basically, the phone logger will record any and all incoming administrative and emergency phone calls to the Sheriff's Office 911 Center.
Okay. Questions regarding this
I don't
item?
have any questions. I'll move to acknowledge correspondence.
Motion to acknowledge correspondence by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Our next item.
Item C, Public Works Solid Waste, number 1, consider approval of a request to award bids to Bettis Asphalt and Construction, Inc. for the Sterling Chase Subdivision Street Improvement Project Phase 3 and authorization and execution of contract C67-2018 for same in the amount of $308,241.50 to be assessed to parcels in the subdivision.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Black with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works item, and this is a project that is being taken on by Doltmeyer Homes. They are constructing the next phase of the Sterling Chase subdivision, and as part of that project, they want to go down the path that they have done in several other projects in which they utilize the county's assistance in funding these projects and taking the bonds, and then those costs for those construction improvements get paid back through assessments. This is a common practice that the county has utilized. So we went out with, and we get involved because we help administer it. Since we're fighting the bonding, then the county public works gets involved in the administration of this project. So we went out for bids. 4 bids were received. The low bid was submitted by Bettis Asphalt and Construction in the amount of $308,241.50. And so is our recommendation that this contract be awarded to them and get things in motion for that. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Tom, just to clarify, these are costs that are assessed as a special on a person's, when they purchase the parcel of land.
That is correct.
And so in that respect, there is not exposure to the county for risk as long as the property is sold.
Well, even if it is not sold, there is a responsible party to pay back the assessments. It may be a bank, it may be the contractor, but someone beyond the county is responsible for paying those costs back.
And so I guess my question, and I see kind of Betty coming up, is what risk or does the county have in being the administrator?
Morning, Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. There is a risk to the county in that these special assessments are added to their tax roll and their tax, assessment. If they do not pay those, if they are late on those, like any other tax that may be delinquent or late, that would be the risk to the county.
Okay, but what happens in the purpose of a tax foreclosure if no taxes are paid and it goes to a tax foreclosure sale? Do the specials wind up being wiped away?
I'll let the
Jim Crowell, Shawnee County Councilor, yes.
So then there is some risk to the county.
Yes, but we have a surety requirement that we require in the county to avoid what happened with the city in the Lawrence Bay scenario that we've talked about a few times. We do have a surety requirement that's in place, so we're less exposed.
Questions?
Yeah, well, that's important to note that we do have surety that covers a significant portion of any risk we would have.
Correct. And that's a policy determination made by the Board of County Commissioners as to whether to allow this type of financing to occur as a vehicle for private development in our county.
Any other questions?
But then this also, then, as these new homes are built, then it contributes then to the appraised value of the community, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so new building permits would then be up, hopefully, on Steve's.
The issue is where to draw the line as a policy matter. You know, if we pull back and we say we're not going to allow this to occur anymore, are we going to lose development that would otherwise occur?
Exactly.
And is that good or not? You just heard the county appraiser this morning talk about supply being an issue.
Exactly.
And I think when you talk to realtors, supply is an issue, and that's one reason why home prices are moving up at a good rate.
Yep.
And at the same time, this is development that's occurring outside of the city limits, and so, which is also contributing to the overall discussion we've been having about comprehensive plan and planning and our ongoing discussions.
Many interconnected issues, yes.
Exactly.
Any other questions regarding this item?
Move to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item C2, consider approval of request to award bid and enter into negotiations for the Lagoon Dredging Services Project to NutriJet Systems, Inc. for dredging, permitting, reporting, and land application services for sanitary sewer district number 2, districts number 2 and 6, funded by user fees.
Commissioners, Tom Block again, Public Works and Solid Waste. This too is a Public Works item. And as you're aware, Shawnee County is responsible for some sewer districts beyond the Sherwood treatment plant. There are also a few lagoon districts. And these two, districts 2 and 6, are up in the northern part of the county, and they have their lagoon systems, and over time, lagoons fill up with basically sludge. And as sludge fills up in the lagoons, the treatment becomes less and less effective. And it is now time, we believe that these 2 lagoons need to be dredged. So we went out and accepted or sent out a request for qualifications. This type of process in which you dredge it, land apply it, has a lot of environmental requirements and permitting requirements and coordination with property owners to find a place to apply it. So it's, in our opinion, it is not just a cut and dry, you bid it and you do it. It's a whole turnkey type of operation. So that's why we decided to go out for statements of qualifications. And then we had the Professional Service Committee review those statements and make a selection to recommend to the County Commission as far as who we felt is the best contractor, the best firm company to provide these services. And after going through that process, it is our recommendation that we be allowed to negotiate a contract now with Nutraject Systems to see if we can come to some agreement on the terms and the pricing of the contract. So that is our recommendation. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Tom, the process that you went through on this, it was by your choice alone, or was there a committee involved, or?
Well, the choice to take statements of qualifications was my choice. The choice to recommend it and review was done through the Professional Services Committee.
Okay. Questions regarding?
And just so you're aware, this is not an uncommon practice done by the county. I think the Midwest Aquatic Center was done this way. I believe the Elections Office was done this way, where you select a firm off of statements of qualifications, and then you negotiate the contract. So this isn't, by any means, something different than what's been done in the past.
I think we even use this with our Expo Center, with the special team to come in and help determine the contractors or people working with the Expo Center renovations.
That's correct.
So, any questions regarding this item? Is there any public comment on this item? Any member of the public wanting to comment on this item? Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion made by Commissioner Archer for approval, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item D, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to award bid to Midwest Medical Waste, Inc., Medi Waste Disposal for biomedical waste disposal needs, and authorization and execution of contract C68-2018 for same at a cost of $18 per container.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This is kind of an annual process for us to go through each year to look at how we dispose of our medical waste at the Department of Corrections. Obviously, there are a lot of on-site medical needs that we do take care of that do involve contaminated linens, cloths, sharps, equipment, things like that. We've had a medical contract for many years. We did, throughout and following the purchasing process, we did go out and speak with companies to make sure that we're looking at getting the best service we can. We did do that, and we did go through, wanting to choose Midwest Medical Waste. It is a savings from previous years, and we do believe this is the best responsible vendor for that. It's a saving, the same quality service that we would get. It would help us in achieving and continuing our expectations for any type of audit, and that would be number 1, any type of standard, things like that. So with that, we did go through, I did speak to Betty briefly regarding this. I have, the contract has gone through legal, and we do have the funds budget for this type of contract in our budget. So with that, I'd stand for any questions you may have.
Any questions regarding this item? I'll move approval then.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller, motion made by Kevin Cook to approve, and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item.
Item E, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C69-2018 with Global Payments Direct, Inc., allowing Parks and Recreation to consolidate all credit card payment processing under one vendor and for one rate with an expense for this year, or for this service of 2.5% per transaction, $12.50 monthly fee, and $24.75 quarterly fee, with funding from the operating budget.
Good morning, excuse me, good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. I think the clerk did a really good job of explaining this whole request this morning. This is an agreement or an application with Global Payments Direct for us to work with a single company at a single rate for all of our credit card processing, all of those type of things. Josh Lehman and Linda Kelly from our department has done a lot of work on this. They're here to answer any detailed questions you might have, and I think they've worked pretty close with Betty Griner on this as well.
Any questions regarding this item?
Actually, I do have a question. Is this all credit card and debit card too, or, I mean, is it the same thing? Sorry.
I'll turn this
I know
over to,
it's different,
I'll turn this
but-
over to Josh, because Josh is our expert on this area.
Okay.
And several others, not just this one.
Good morning, Commissioners. Josh Lehman, Parks and Recreation. Essentially, this is going to implement and integrate Global Payment Direct's, blanked on it, their payment gateway with our new Civic Recreation Management System. Currently, for all of our credit card transactions for in-person and phone, we're using Information Network of Kansas' CanPay, which is 2.5% per transaction, and all of our online registrations and reservations are going through PayPal at 2.9% per transaction plus 30 cents per transaction. So as we moved forward with this, we tried to find a solution that would work and have everything in one window at one rate, so you're not going to various different vendors for these processing fees. The CanPay system will not be able to work with the mobile payments that we plan on rolling out at like Dornwood, Rieger Park to expand our payment options there. PayPal can only do online and mobile, so neither vendor that we're using would give us that one solution. So we did work with Audit Finance and IT to go through and find a vendor that we thought would be a comparable rate, and hopefully a price savings based on the PayPal transactions, so that we could get everything into one system with the Civic Rec management system.
Okay, but debit card too, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Sorry.
okay, that's all I needed. Thanks.
Any other questions?
The changeover, how difficult
Yes.
is it, and how long will it take?
What will happen is, if this gets approved, we send the application back to the vendor. They will give us essentially an account portal number. We send that over to Civic Plus. They plug that into their system, and we're live then and there.
Good. Okay. Okay. I'll move approval of the contract.
Motion made for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Our next item.
Item E2, consider authorization and execution of contract C72-2018 with BW Field Services LLC for the design-build renovations to the Lake Shawnee Junior Pond for a guaranteed maximum price of $421,500 with funding of $237,200 from the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Foundation and $184,300 from the Parks and Recreation Building Maintenance 3R Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. I'm going to turn this over to Rachel Meyer, who's our Partnerships Coordinator, who works really close with our Shawnee County Parks and Rec Foundation. And I'd also like to bring attention to Jim Renner, who's a member of our Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Foundation, regarding this request to use private dollars to match public dollars to get some really nice needed improvements in ADA accessibility and those type of things. With that being said, I'll turn this over to Rachel.
Well, good morning again, Commissioners. Rachel Meyer, Partnership Development Coordinator for Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. We do have a presentation I put here together, and I will have a couple other members speak as well. If I can get this done. As John Knight mentioned, the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Foundation is supporting almost two-thirds of this project. And with this process, it has been ongoing over the past year. We did have a foundation board member, part of the selection committee, and so she did assist with this project from the beginning. It is nice to have a foundation board member's input as they are, assisting with the funding as well. But because of the mission of the foundation, they want to support projects that go above and beyond what taxpayers can afford. And so this particular project, we've had several donations and sponsors over the years that are very interested in this project and improving the junior pond, and mostly because of the ADA accessibility. And I think that will improve programming options as well down the road. With all the logistics for this, though, I am going to have John Boyd come up and speak about the project itself and outline how we got to this point.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Boyd, Parks and Rec. Initially, this project started out, I was just a member of the team, and then when Terry Burrows retired, I kind of took it over. So some of the initial steps that we started with was requesting permission from the board to solicit the RFP. Then we proceeded to the professional selection committee's recommendations that was submitted in August 14 of 2017. Then we were, in November 2nd, we requested permission to negotiate the guaranteed maximum price. That's, maybe. Sorry. Help, Rachel. Yeah, there we go. Perfect, thank you. Some of the issues that we're trying to address with this project, the eroding shoreline, which is the bottom left picture there, the spillway overflow, which we don't really have a picture of, the aquatic vegetation impact and the shallow pond depth kind of go together, and then the biggest issue is the non-compliant ADA issues and accessibility. The picture on the top left is the extent of the accessibility for the whole pond. So that's one of the big issues that we would like to address. Well, there we go. This was one of the initial design concept drawings that we received. We haven't strayed too far from that. When we started the negotiation process, what we ended up doing, we liked the design, so we decided to work with what we got, and then we was able to bring the project to the price point that we was able to negotiate out. There we go. This is just a couple of different examples of opportunities, what we're going to look for. The bottom left pictures shows a retaining wall that goes around the pond edge, and we're going to lift the level of the lake up with a retaining wall around the perimeter of the pond. And then also have a generic water feature that we will work on later with staff to enhance as far as landscaping and things like that. This is an aerial drawing of the pond. What we are going to achieve with the project is to have a perimeter walk all the way around the pond with rebuilding the pond edge, and that will elevate the sidewalk around the pond and lift the volume of the pond up. The top of the drawing will be is where the current water comes in, and that will be a waterfall, and then we'll enhance that later down the road. Here's kind of a timeline of what the project looks like. It's just like anything else, you have to tear it up to make it look better. We need to drain the pond, mobilize the contractors, bring them in, and they'll come in and start doing the dirt work, and then start laying the walls, concrete, finish grade, and then to completion. So that's just rewording what we were requesting, so happy to answer any questions.
The fish that are in the pond, when we drain it, we're going to take them to Lake Shawnee.
We have a plan for that, and what we're initially going to attempt to do is create a channel where the existing spillway is, and just dig that out so it goes directly into the lake, so there isn't as much time involved trying to get all the fish out of there. So that's our plan.
And once it's completed, how long will it take for the junior pond to refill with, to come back up?
As far as water level or to the fishing degree?
Well,
Or both?
either way.
Okay. We are actually in control of the water level, so as soon as the project's ready, we can turn the pumps back on. So I'd have to guess and say a week to move that much water to bring it back up. Then we have been in contact with the Department of Wildlife, Parks and Tourism, and they are actually the ones that stock the pond, so they're aware of the project, and they'll be ready to restock.
Okay. And so the total timeline for the project from start to finish, estimate?
Estimate of 4.5 months.
So we would be looking at then by the fall or really next year for usability?
I would assume fall. Yeah.
Questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. And I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with BW Field Services LLC.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next item.
Item F, Information Technology, number 1, consider approval of request for out-of-state travel for one employee to attend the Tyler Connect 2018 conference at a cost not to exceed $3,200.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Price with Information Technology. This is a conference I actually attended last year, but will not be able to attend this year. Last year I found a lot of great information. We'll be sending one person this year, and look forward to him coming back and sharing the information he gathers. And if you have any other questions, I'm ready to answer.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item G, Appraiser, number 1, consider approval of request to fill the GIS analyst position at a step 5 of range 14 for a candidate with exceptional experience and qualifications at a salary including benefits of $62,586.80.
Hello, Steve Bauman, County Appraiser. With this request, our hiring team was pretty excited about the candidate that we received for this GIS analyst position. You previously approved us to open and hire, but with the experience level that this candidate brings to the table and their qualifications, we feel like there'll be an immediate impact in the position, and we'd like to be able to hire at step 5 instead of step 1. Happy to try and answer any questions. We've discussed this with Angela with HR and Betty with Administrative Finances, and I do have Lee Allen hanging in the wings in case we have any significant questions.
You do have the money within your budget to be able to afford this?
That is a good question. I meant to address that as well. We got the money in the budget from you during our budget hearing. With this position not being filled the first 2 months, that gave us the money to hire at a increased amount. So, yes.
Questions regarding this item?
So that's in the budget for this year, so then do you anticipate you'll need more dollars than in 19?
Yes,
Potentially?
but it will increase our salaries for the following year, for 19. If required, I would be able to find the money to make that work for 19 as well.
That would be encouraged.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and I think step 5 is the highest level we can hire at in a situation like this. And you have Betty and Angela's sign off, so I'll move to approve.
I'll second, and because the GIS, just what that department does,
Yeah.
the potential of what that department can do and those individuals, and I can't see Lee.
Right in the wings.
Oh, there, sorry, you're right behind. So yes, I will enthusiastically
Yeah, it is very
second.
technical.
Yes, it
too.
is.
It really is.
Certainly, and it benefits every department in
does.
the county,
It does.
and including the public as well.
I agree.
So motion made by Commissioner Archer for approval, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Excuse me. Item H, Health Department, number 1, consider approval of request to participate in a multi-county collaboration to solicit proposals and select a vendor for an electronic health record system at no obligation to the county to purchase.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. We did recently get a great opportunity to collaborate with 4 other health departments for their large counties to look at an electronic health record. We're currently using paper charts, and we're about the last ones in the area using paper charts. It's time for us to go to electronic. It will help with reducing the cost of our storage that I mentioned a couple weeks ago with the record destruction. I do believe that going in with the other counties on this collaboration will really help us with the initial purchase costs. That was one of the main reasons we wanted to do that. Also, great support as we have issues and questions. We are working with county IT on this project. Just to stress, participation in this collaboration does not obligate us in any way to purchase the system, to go along with them. All the counties, we're still at the point where we can decide to go our separate ways if we want. The County Counselor's Office did review the RFP that Wyandotte County will be releasing. They were supposed to release it Friday. I don't know with the weather if that was delayed. And the proposals will due back around March 15th. And so Wyandotte County will be setting up those dates. They are doing a lot of the heavy lifting on this project, and I really appreciate them doing that. So I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions regarding this item? Commissioner Archer?
Yeah, we really don't have a choice. I mean, we have to go to electronic health record.
I don't
You
know
agree?
if legally we have to, but really everyone is. And so
Right.
it's very hard to send people's records to another provider because we have to send paper. And I understand that fax machines are going away in the near future, and so that's
I
one.
think they already have. I'm not sure.
We still have a couple, but they're not very easy to use.
Do we
anymore.
have any idea, a projection of cost
You know,
on a going forward basis?
I don't. I've always been told it's in the 100,000 and more, but I've just been told that by rumor. I don't really know what the cost will be of this yet. I just don't have any idea
Okay.
because I've not done this before.
Okay, but 6 figures.
It's a lot.
One more question, Mr. Chairman. In multi-county, is it just Wyandotte and Shawnee County?
No,
or how
it's
many other-
Wyandotte, Johnson, Riley, Douglas,
Okay,
and
thank you.
ourselves. So, nice group.
Now, Sedgwick County, they built their own electronic, or they went their own way.
They did go their own way, and I'm pretty sure they're on their second, system. This will be our first.
Okay. Is there a motion? No?
Not yet.
I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners. More to come.
Thank you. Our next item.
Item H2, consider approval of request to submit a Kansas Governor's Council on Fitness Walking Enhancement Funding application to increase accessibility and walkability of the Shawnee County Trail Network in an amount of $9,780. No matching funds are required for this grant.
Good morning, Commissioners. Craig Barnes, Health Department. As mentioned, this is a request for approval to submit a Kansas Governor's Council on Fitness Walking Enhancement Grant. What that'll do is this is a collaboration with the Health Department and Parks and Rec on this. We're partnering together. And this is only a grant that is only available to current chronic disease risk reduction grantees, which the Health Department is. So it's giving us the ability to apply for up to $10,000. As you heard, we're applying for $9,780. And what this grant will do will be to increase accessibility, walkability of trails, which encompass our Shawnee County Trail Network. What we will be looking at doing is strategies around installing trail post markers, trailhead signage, wayfinding signage, as well as purchasing an eco counter to monitor trail usage. And all of these strategies are evidence-based and listed within the Surgeon General's report on increasing walkability and accessibility of trails. So I'd be happy to answer any questions I could.
Did we target some parks that we're going to be looking at, or some trails that we're going to be looking at for this, or is it just?
Yes, so we did purchase. We are looking at 3 main trails, so in Dornwood Park, Shunga, and the Landon, ones that we know are the most used, so we can, and also the ones that are in some underserved areas. And I don't know if, Mike, you have anything to add from Parks and Rec's perspectives there as well, so. But yes, we are targeting some primary ones. And the great thing, we're getting that eco-use counter so that we can then gauge and evaluate our success, so that we can look at areas where either the most people come on the trails, so that we can highlight and focus our wayfinding signage in there, since that way we can point directional where people might go to use those trails.
Questions regarding this?
I do. The deadline was?
So yes, so the deadline was Friday.
Right.
And luckily, due to the county and the state offices being closed on Thursday, we were able to get an extension that I worked out with KDHE until today. So I will be kind of waiting around if we get approved, signature, and then running right over to KDHE, get that over as fast as possible.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item H3, request approval of request for 3 employees, 2 health department and 1 emergency management employee for out-of-state travel to attend the 2018 Public Health Emergency Preparedness Summit at a cost not to exceed $6,500.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ed Kalis with the Health Department. This request is for out-of-state travel for 2 folks from the Health Department and 1 from Emergency Management to not only attend, but to also present at the Preparedness Summit in Atlanta, Georgia in April of this year. All of the costs will be provided and paid for by our local Public Health Emergency Preparedness grant funding. And I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
No, move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item I, Facilities Maintenance, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C70-2018 with Green Touch Lawn and Tree to provide mowing, fertilization, and weed control at the courthouse, both health department building locations, and the elections office at a cost specified per application in the contract to be funded from facilities maintenance for the courthouse, health department, and election office operating budgets.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. This contract is essentially renewal. Last year, Parks and Rec did the negotiation with Green Touch to take care of these locations. Elections did not participate last year in this. They have communicated to me that they want to have their grounds taken care of by Green Touch. This also extends what Green Touch will be doing here at the courthouse by taking care of the bedding areas and the shrubbery around the building, as well as the health locations to do the same thing in their bedding areas. And I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Questions regarding this item?
And I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Contract.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item I2, consider authorization and execution of contract C71-2018 with Furniture Mall of Kansas to provide and install carpet, vinyl plank flooring, and cove base in the remaining unrenovated areas of the Emergency Operations Center and replacement of the carpet in the Human Resource Office at a total cost of $23,030.80 from the 2017 capital maintenance budget approved for carpet replacement.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. Down in the Emergency Operations Center, Dusty and his crew have been working very diligently, along with our crew, to kind of clean it up and modernize it, and this will be the last phase of getting Dusty's area completed and looking nice and usable, as well as the Human Resources Office is the last county office within the courthouse that requires carpet replacement, and we will be completely done with this building and completely done with the North Annex. So it took 3 years, but we've got all the carpet replaced. So, answer any questions you might have.
It would be nice to be completely done with this building.
With carpet, we're done with.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you much.
Thank you, Bill. Our next item.
Item J, Human Resources, number 1, consider approval of request to post and fill the position of Human Resources Labor Relations Officer at a salary including benefits of $56,286.80, and fill any positions that become vacant as a result of filling this position.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Lewis with Human Resources. We're requesting to fill the Human Resources Labor Relations Officer position and to fill any vacancy.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any department head, member of the public to address the commission.
Morning, Commissioners. Dustin Nichols, Emergency Management. I just want to put out the reminder to media and everybody who will listen that next week we have the Storm Spotters training at Washburn University at 7 p.m. Doors will open at 6, and we'll have some CERT members and some other information there as well. So please come and be safe and learn something.
All right. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Crowell again. Let me be a little more precise on my answer about special assessments as I replayed the question and the answer in my head.
Yes wasn't siphoned.
You ask, will delinquent specials be eliminated in a tax sale? And the answer is yes, but we have to clarify that typically specials are spread over 10 and more, typically 20 years. So unpaid delinquent specials are cleared out by a tax sale. Any specials that have not yet come due will become the responsibility of the next owner of the property. So just to be a little more precise on that.
Thank you. Any other administrative communications this morning? Commissioner Bueller? anything?
Looking forward to, doorstep Operation Soup Line is Wednesday afternoon at Ag Hall. I think all of us are working at some point in time and serving soup, and then JADO meeting on Wednesday. So
Absolutely.
Busy week.
Busy Wednesday.
Yep.
Commissioner Archer, anything?
Yeah, soup line, I'm 11 to noon, I think, and JADO is at 6 o'clock, so it should be a busy day, productive.
Absolutely. And with our JADO meeting, again, at the end of the meeting to take up some items regarding this ongoing conversation or emerging conversation of quality of place and what that is in our community as it relates to economic development. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 6, Executive Session.
There is a need for an executive session today. Item number 1, to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel regarding the closure of the county offices on Thursday, the 22nd of February 2018. 2, to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel regarding employee discipline. 3, to discuss personnel matters related to non-elected personnel, to discuss the management structure for reporting directly to the Board of County Commissioners. 4, for consultation with an attorney for the body or public or agency which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship related to the same personnel matters to be discussed. And then 5 would be to discuss consultation with an attorney for public or body which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship related to the county's contract with Roadrunner Hockey LLC for a total of 30 minutes. And that is a motion made by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? We are in executive session. We are back from executive session. No action has been taken. We are adjourned.